Hey guys, so today I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to go about doing my anime review sections for the coming weeks. So, obviously, there's a lot of people out there who are doing reviews upon many different things, so I thought I would explain how my rating scale works so you understand where I'm coming from and then can understand what to expect. So, initially, the first section I'm going to be looking at is the art, the how it matches to my personal taste, which is extremely subjective, and you should always take that with a grain of salt. The quality of the backgrounds, and then the use of art to accentuate the story or imagery. There's a couple of examples that I have, and you'll see coming up. And then in storytelling, is the plot unique? If it is, or even if it isn't, how complex is the story? If it's too complex, it might be not as good for people to follow and watch. Something like Death Note, where there becomes a lot of talking and deep conversation. And then how well is the story told? For me, this kind of gets broken down into if there are questions raised, are they answered? And if they're not, how important is it that that question wasn't answered? The next section will be characters or people. And for me, what I'm looking for is a variety of different characters, whether or not they have different personalities, and if they're interesting to watch and sort of imagine yourself to be with. The next thing is how relatable are the main characters? Because if you really can't put yourself in there with the situation, if you can't feel like you would be friends with that main character, it becomes hard to watch. And then finally, the most important section of characters is there any character growth? It's all well and good to watch an anime for a long period of time and hang out with these characters, but if they don't actually develop at all, it just kind of becomes stagnant and not really interesting to watch. Then what I want to look at is music. And for me, I really appreciate music in a lot of the different animes, and it adds a lot to it. So I want to know, does it add to the anime as a whole? Is it distracting or immersive? And then my other criteria is, would I buy the soundtrack? The very last thing to consider is any other miscellaneous points that I noticed while I was watching the anime. There's a couple times where it's like specific characters are extremely frustrating or irritating, and that ruins it. Or the execution of a story was so good that it really brought up its story score in spite of the fact that it's a very basic or cliche story. Finally, this will all sort of round out with a rating. And I think that everybody should be able to judge things on their own scale, and my rating would be extremely subjective and not really helpful for anybody. So I'll be giving a obscure rating scale, such as if the Millennium Falcon is good and the Death Star is bad, I give this a tauntaun. You know, similar to how Conan does his on his gaming reviews. But ultimately, I will leave you off with whether or not I'm going to recommend the anime. So that's what you can expect going forward. The two animes that I am going to be reviewing will be Charlotte and Your Lie in April. So look forward to those, and I will catch you in the next one.